All the talks on the Syracuse game for the season opener, as it should, but could the Vanderbilt game actually make or break the 2025 Tennessee football season?
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it, your Tuesday morning Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Cain. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols a part of your morning routine, your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. And got a fun one coming up today. Yeah, again, talking about fall camp, talking about Joey Aguilar winning the starting job and all that. We put out a bonus episode on Sunday night reacting to the news of Joey Aguilar being named QB1. I had already recorded a Monday show, and actually had already recorded today's show that I'm about to play right now. It's a crossover with Corey Burton of Locked On Vandy, because there's a lot of storylines for Tennessee and Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's kind of exciting right now. And doesn't mean Tennessee's not going to pummel them, which I assume is going to happen. Still, Vanderbilt's kind of exciting right now. It's got an exciting brand of football. So I thought it'd be interesting if we kind of caught up with that school out to the west, or really in the mid-state of Tennessee, and kind of caught up with Corey Burton here to begin the season. So that's the show. Recorded that Sunday afternoon, so I'll make reference a couple of times to Joey Aguilar not being named the starter as of yet, but again, that was pre-recorded. So anyway, got a big show coming up today. Stay dialed in, get the Vanderbilt perspective, what the expectations are for that fan base, and how Vanderbilt is viewing Tennessee here in this contest. And without further ado, here's our crossover with Locked On Vanderbilt's Corey Burton.
So, Eric, this is, like I said, Vandy's good at football. Tennessee, playoff team from last year. Could you guys build on that momentum? But let's talk about Diego Pavia, because he has been, and I want to get the Vol perspective on this, but he's been active in the media. He's been active on this Netflix documentary, obviously coming back as a huge deal. How do y'all view Diego Pavia on the field and off?
It's funny, like, I've said this on my show several times, like, Diego Pavia is everything you want in college football. He is an underdog. He's got so much belief in himself. I mean, even before I watched the Netflix documentary, you could tell that he carried himself with a certain amount of confidence, right? And he willed Vanderbilt to victory several times last year. So I think from a national perspective, like, for him to transfer to a team like Vanderbilt, put Vanderbilt in winning meaningful games in other, like that Texas game last year. I was at a wedding. I know fall weddings are so stupid, but I was watching that entire Vanderbilt Texas game on my phone. I'm like, dang, man, just knocked off Alabama a couple weeks ago. We're about to knock off Texas here. That's cool. That's awesome. And I know we'll get to it here in a moment, but after watching the documentary, it's funny. A lot of Tennessee fans who are never going to be Pavia fans just because they're Tennessee fans, but they're kind of like, man, I'd hate to root for other teams like Florida or Georgia, but gosh, I just cannot root for Diego Pavia anymore. I mean, so much cockiness and so much confidence, can't stand it. So, again, that makes everything that much better in college football, in my opinion, and especially in this rivalry.
Yeah, I think it adds fuel to the fire because, I mean, this rivalry has become quite stale because I think Tennessee's taken a massive upper hand from the previous 10 matchups where it was kind of more even, and then before that was obviously Tennessee having a huge upper hand. So, the times that Vandy is kind of fought back into this rivalry, Tennessee kind of took back control, and now we're back into a situation where Vandy has a chance to kind of get back even in that rivalry. So for Tennessee fans, why not have that villain in Diego Pavia that you can look at and say, hey, this is why we hate Vandy, right? And for Vandy fans, I think having Diego Pavia has reinvigorated them to football. And now it's like, okay, well, we can go back to, okay, let's look at who we hate. Well, let's hate Tennessee first. And then, it's just kind of getting back into the swing of things. New stadium additions coming out. So, like, a lot of positive momentum on our end for the football thing. So I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, and I think everybody should be, right? If you're a Vanderbilt fan, you should go into every single Saturday knowing that you have a legit chance to win it. And, football is a different sport. You know this. Like,
yeah,
it is, in my opinion, the definition of a team sport. In basketball, if you have a guy that goes out there and LeBron James, Kobe, whoever, Steph, just go out there and dominates, I mean, you can carry your team to a victory. If you have a starting pitcher that goes out there and throws a 7-8 inning, 10 strikeout game and, hands the ball over to a setup man or a closer with a 1-run, 2-run game, you can will your team to victory. In football, it's different, man. You got to have the offensive line. You got to have receivers. You got to have defense. I mean, there's so many different factors why I love football so much. Having said that, though, just like with Tennessee, with Hendon Hooker accelerating the rebuild after Jeremy Pruitt, was ousted, and Josh Heupel took over a dumpster fire, because you had Hendon Hooker, who Jeremy Pruitt brought in, by the way. You accelerated that rebuild. And with Vanderbilt, quarterback is the most important position in all sports. He can will, as I've said, Vanderbilt to win victory. He can create plays on the run. You literally go into every single game having a legit chance to win. Now, if you play bad defense, if you have turnovers, then a lot of times the team that is not as talented as the others, going to shoot themselves in the foot. They're not going to be able to pull it out. But again, Vanderbilt goes into every single game having a chance to win. Will it? We'll see. Won 7 games a season ago, and I think Diego Pavia winning that court case as well, getting another year of eligibility.
Yeah.
Some can say it's bad for college football, but hey, players on Tennessee's roster right now, Miles Kitselman, Star Thomas, have benefited from that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to ask you about Tennessee's roster. What is it like with the quarterback situation? Is it addition by subtraction with Nico? Is it, you're replacing Dylan Sampson, you're replacing James Pierce? Like, there's a lot of pieces there that I think are question marks for Tennessee. What does that look like?
It's hard to say addition by subtraction, with Nico, because I understand he was, former number 1 overall recruit in the country, 5-star. Did he live up to that hype last year? No. But I think everybody that watches college football for Tennessee knows, there's another gear there for Nico. And when he hits that gear, he's going to be a dangerous football player. So I'm not going to sit there, and sure, Tennessee didn't make the playoff because of Nico last year, but you can't just sit there and say, well, Tennessee's going to be automatically better. So Nico leaves, you go in, and you get Joey Aguilar, and it's technically like a trade or a swap or whatever, but he spent spring at UCLA. He's been the Appalachian State star the last couple of years, and Josh Heupel hasn't made it official. We'll see if that happens this week, but I assume, I've thought all along, and it feels like in fall camp, all things are pointing to Joey Aguilar to be that guy. He's got experience. I think that he's a capable runner. I think he's a gamer, much like Diego Pavia. I think that at points in times in his career, he's had a turnover issue. So we'll see. Tennessee's going to be able to run the football. Losing Dylan Sampson, great player. Tennessee's still going to run the football well. I think Tennessee's offensive line can be better if they stay healthy. Defensively, I think it's going to lead the way once again. James Pierce, first-round pick, great talent.
Oh, that dude's amazing. He plays for the Falcons. Yeah. He's going to be great for Atlanta. I'm excited as a Falcons fan to get him.
Yeah, great player. He broke out in 2023, had 11 sacks or whatever. Statistically, not as good of a year last year, but still pressured the quarterback and all that. But, Rodney Gardner plays so many players on the defensive front, and Tennessee brings almost all those guys back. Need to get healthy in the secondary for sure, but I think Tennessee's defense is once again going to lead the way. So I like this roster. Is it ideal that you lose Nico Iamaleava on the last day of spring practice? Of course it's not. That is not what you want. But Corey, you look at the schedule for Tennessee, and it's pretty favorable. So I think Tennessee, as long as you don't shoot yourself in the foot, can have a pretty clear path to at least 8 or 9 wins, and who knows, maybe knock on the door to the CFP.
Yeah, I mean that's something huge. I mean, if you can just get some great quarterback play, because y'all have it set up defensively where I think you're in good shape of making some noise there in the conference, and I think a lot of people are overlooking y'all, and probably for, I guess, decent reason, because y'all are losing so many pieces. But this is always a dangerous team. Josh Heupel is going to be a well-coached, extremely well-coached team. I have no issues or no qualms with him being able to replace that quarterback production that you lose with Nico, with possibly a guy that can, if he just distributes the rock, he's going to be dangerous. So, you get in that situation where, it's going to be tough on Vandy. It's going to be a home game. And I think it might look a little different the way I see Tennessee, but I think that production is going to be there, just not with the powerful run game that you're used to, but it's going to be more like what it was when Josh Heupel first got there. Is that true?
We'll see. I think that remains to be seen. Josh Heupel's ran the football effectively and efficiently all 4 years, over 2,500 yards each year. Last year, nearly 3,000 yards. So I think that they're going to run the football. And I think Sampson was such a dynamic and great player. I think the running back, this is one of those oh, you lose him, but wait, they're going to be even better. I'm not saying that, but I think the room, the options, they go 3 deep for sure. They've got a 4th guy, Juwan Morris, who played right there in Oakland, Middle Tennessee. I think he's going to be a fantastic player. They're really good and really deep at running back. So they have a lot of questions at receiver, tons of questions, some talent, only 7 scholarships in the room, which is too thin in my opinion. But they got Chris Brazel, who made a couple of plays in that Vanderbilt game a season ago. Mike Matthews, who scored a touchdown in that Vanderbilt game a season ago.
Yeah.
They need to stay healthy. I think they have talent, but just a lot of question marks and a lot of unknowns, and obviously just a lot of inexperience in the passing game. So, again, you want to get back to that explosiveness if you're Josh Heupel, in 2021, 2022. I think to begin the season, they're going to look more like they were last year, defense, run game, but obviously you hope good teams evolve and get better over the course of a season, and we'll see what the Tennessee offense turns into down the line. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, obviously, and the college football season isn't far behind. Whether you've got an eye on the big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. The flex option, play option, is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you can still double your money. Here's how it works. You have a player grid, pick at least 2, no more than 6, and you pick over or under that said volume. You pick more than or less than that said volume, and then you can watch the winnings roll in. Download PrizePicks app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On College to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's where you can run your game. And a big shout out to our friends over at Drip Drop. When I'm staying on top of my hydration, I notice everything works a little bit better for me, right? Maybe you as well. My energy, my wife will tell you, my mood, my focus, even my skin. But getting enough fluids every single day isn't as easy as it sounds. That's why I've been loving some Drip Drop. Drip Drop is a doctor-developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses a perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. Again, I'm on campus all the time right now with fall camp. It is hot. Coming back here doing Locked On Vols. Coming back here doing VolQuest.com work. I got a newborn at the house as well. I need to stay hydrated to tackle all the day's events, right? And that's why I depend on Drip Drop, and I think you can as well. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head on over to DripDrop.com. Use that promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That is DripDrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now while the summer heat, man, it is still in full swing. Stock up now with Drip Drop.
All right, so Locked On crossover here, Locked On Vandy, Locked On Vols. If you need, subscribe to Locked On Vols, subscribe to Eric. His show is phenomenal. I'm getting a lot of love from some Tennessee fans on some of my videos. Actually, it's playful trash talk and some kudos. So I'm getting the best of both worlds here, and I love it. So subscribe to his show. Obviously, subscribe to Locked On Vandy, and if you need a lesson after that, Locked On SEC with Chris Gordy just kind of brings it all together. So check that out. His perspective is great. He's covering the entire conference.
Corey, man, football in the state of Tennessee is so much better when Vanderbilt is, again, playing good football, winning games. Yep. It makes the rivalry better, obviously. But, I mean, we're sitting there watching down the stretch last season. Tennessee's trying to punch its ticket to the college football playoff. And, Vanderbilt's playing spoiler. Vanderbilt, was trying to play spoiler against the Vols there at the end of the season as well. So I love kind of what Vanderbilt's doing right there. We keep referencing the doc. Again, we can talk about it, in segment 3 if you want to in great detail. But
yeah, we're going to get to it. Just don't worry. We're going to get to it.
Clark Lee, I think he's done such a phenomenal job there. Some of the stuff he said in that doc, again, we'll save it. So a little tease there for segment 3. Yeah, but it's kind of like, oh, man. But you can't dispute the job he's done. Phenomenal work. What I want to know from you, man, and again, just from a national perspective or a regional perspective, right, just kind of looking in on offense, Diego Pavia, Stowers is back, right, which is a phenomenal player, okay?
The best player on the roster.
Yeah, those 2 guys played together in New Mexico State, really, really good stuff. You bring back a couple of backs, changing some on the offensive line. You bring back a receiver or 2, but again, it looks like it's Pavia, Stowers, and that's it. How sustainable is the offense, especially with how much Diego runs with the football and takes those hits?
Well, the running back that you mentioned, Cedric Alexander, that's coming back, he's the starter. He got banged up around the Auburn, Kentucky game, and he just wasn't the same. And he he missed some significant work, and when he did come back, he just wasn't quite right. He had an ankle injury that was just bothering him all year long. So you get him back. He's, and you get AJ Newberry, who's coming off ACL surgery. So early in the season, I'm not sure how he's going to be, or how effective he's going to be. And then MK Young, who, if you listen to Pavia's interview on Bussin' with the Boys, he really shouted him out as somebody that's going to be, a heavy hitter for this. So you got 3 running backs right there. I think it's going to help foot the bill in the run game. And then the wide receivers, you get Junior Sherrill back, but like that's really all you know about. And it's going to be kind of a mystery as to who the other guys are. But they are talking about Martell Height getting some offensive work. He's the starting cornerback and kick returner. But you're going to see, or punt returner, you're going to get him some wide receiver looks as well. And apparently, and they started that in the spring. He was impressive enough for them to keep that experiment going, and he's been nothing short of outstanding in fall camp. So that's going to be an option that I think you're going to see that grow as the season goes, because he's going to make plays, and that's going to be another guy that you look at and go, man, like where's this been? And then it's just going to be, okay, Trey Richardson coming in from D2, like he's looked impressive in camp, but like now when the season kicks off, how does that translate? Then you got Trent Hudson, who's been kind of banged up in camp, but has that rapport with Diego Pavia. You just don't know really what you're going to get. And then you have a completely rebuilt offensive line. You bring back one starter, and he's bumping from tackle to guard, but you get an NFL caliber center. You get some other potential next level guys, and it's a great assembly of talent, probably the most talented offensive line they've had in quite some time, but it takes time to gel, as you know.
Yeah. And at least it's easier if you're making the transition. You want it to be from tackle to guard and not guard out the tackle. It's like,
right.
Well, Tennessee never recruits any safeties or whatever. You recruit corners to play safety. You recruit offensive tackles to play center.
Because it's a different game.
Yeah, much different game. For an offense that's so reliant on Diego Pavia, whether it's the run or the pass or whatever, my thing is always like, man, he takes so many hits. Obviously, you never root for injury whatsoever, but what's the backup plan, too, if Pavia has to miss a series or two or whatever? What else is there at the quarterback position?
Well, if he has to miss, they like Blaise Berlowitz right now as the number one backup. They feel like they can do most things that Pavia can do. He's probably a little more up and down as far as consistency goes than Diego Pavia, but he has a big arm. He can run. He's athletic. And he knows the offense extremely well. So they feel good about him going in. But right now, it's still very unsettled. They have a freshman named Jack Elliott, who they feel like when they recruited him was a clone of Diego Pavia, attitude-wise, body type-wise, playing style-wise. I don't know about attitude necessarily, like as far as the press goes. I don't know if anybody can replicate that. But they feel like he's probably the closest thing to Diego Pavia that they have on their roster. He's just not ready yet because he's a freshman. So Blaise Berlowitz would be that guy.
Defensively, what are some I guess let me stay on offense, then I'll ask you about defense. For Pavia, what's the next step for him? How can he be better from last year to this year that can maybe take that offense and obviously, Vanderbilt to a couple more wins?
Well, understanding, first of all, how defenses are now going to attack him. Last year, they were trying to feel him out. They were trying to see what they could do, and he was able to take advantage of that. Now he knows. He's had a full year. The SEC's had a full year of Diego Pavia. There's obviously the biggest argument against him is, hey, you've got a season's worth of film out there for all these elite defensive coordinators. And for him, it's understanding, okay, he's got to understand that as well. He can't go out and do the exact same thing. He's going to have to develop as a passer because that's going to be the number one thing. They're going to force him to beat them from the pocket. They're going to push the pocket. They're going to contain rush. They're going to press on the outside, and they're going to load the box. If he can beat that by getting the ball out of his hands quick, understanding and anticipating how they're going to play him and how they're going to play coverage-wise out on the receivers, you've got to find ways to get the ball out quick and do some different things. And that's kind of the first step. Then once you kind of establish that you can beat them that way, maybe defenses go back more into a base look, and then you can start getting into what you're used to and good at.
Yep, it's about what your counter is, right? I mean, Josh Heupel and Alex Golish, of course, now the head coach at USF, they were explosive, and then defense is kind of caught up. And so what's your counter? And you've seen Josh Heupel kind of evolve over the last couple of years and obviously looked very different last year, but hey, went to the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly because everyone was, pressing, and they were able to disrupt the timing in the passing game because, Joe Milton is different than Hooker.
Yeah.
And, obviously Nico is different from those two. And so they were able to disrupt that and enter Dylan Sampson. You get a more physical attack, which I think proved that Josh Heupel is not just stuck in this, Hendon Hooker style offense, but it may come full circle and go back to that. And that might be what they're good at.
Yep. That's the hope, at least, for sure. Last question I have for Vanderbilt here in this segment, defensively, right? I mean, I had to stay on the field a lot last year, even with as great as what the offense did with Pavia and then burst and all that. Towards the bottom, total defense, scoring defense, but where Vanderbilt was very bad was third down defense, not very good. What are some areas where Vanderbilt could be better defensively, up front, linebacker, in the secondary? And what do you expect out of Vanderbilt's defense this year?
Well, man, they return a ton. They return a ton of production. I think pretty much 9 starters coming back on that side of the ball. I mean, it's outstanding.
And the Vanderbilt could keep all those.
They were able to keep them in the portal, which is even more impressive because Vandy's has been that everyone exit into the portal, not go get guys to come in. They've rebuilt their defensive line just as they've rebuilt their offensive line. And so, up front, I think winning more battles in the trenches and not forcing your linebackers to have to blitz all the time to get pressure. And I was listening to Bill Belichick speak when he took the North Carolina job and talk about like different strategies of how he disrupts the passing game. And he referred to, a strategy. I'd like to see them employ this, and they might. When they played the Greatest Show on Turf, it wasn't get pressure on Kurt Warner. It was disrupt his targets, disrupt Isaac Bruce, disrupt Torrey Holt, those guys, and disrupt the overall timing of the play. So if Vanderbilt, I think if they can do that a little bit, if they can push the pocket from the inside and really just kind of force quarterbacks to step up and throw into a messy pocket, then I think they have a lot better chance of getting off the field on third down and getting the offense back on the field, and getting Diego Pavia back on the field and the ball in his hands to do what he does. So, I think that strategy worked great against Alabama. It's the reason why they beat Alabama is because Jalen Milroe and that offense could not get into a rhythm. And I think if they just keep doing that, they'll be just fine. And I think they have more pieces to be able to do that, especially in the front seven. This linebacking core is going to be outstanding. Randon Fontenette, I call him Rambo because he's a silent killer. He's gonna, how Rambo like pops up out of a bush and like just takes out a bad guy and is just like, where'd he come from? That's Randon Fontenette. Like he's gonna come. He's just there, and he doesn't bring a whole lot of fanfare. Like for all the fanfare that Diego Pavia brings, Randon Fontenette just produces, right? And obviously he gets hype, with the best of them, but he's essentially that silent killer, and he's going to be a force at the star hybrid position. And then you have Miles Capers coming off the edge. You have Langston Patterson, Brian Longwell, and linebackers, and then the front seven is going to be pretty stout, pretty stingy.
What do these two teams look like at the end of the regular season? Can either team be playing spoiler for the other? Time will tell, obviously, but it's always a good rivalry game between Tennessee and Vanderbilt. We will look at the Netflix documentary Any Given Saturday and discuss some of the storylines from both teams. All that and more when we come back. Hey, if you're running a business, every missed call is potentially money left on the table, right? Think about the last time you needed a service. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait around? Probably not. You moved on. And that's why you need Open Phone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer service communications. Don't just juggle two phones, right? A personal phone or a business phone. Stuff gets left in the cracks, right? Again, with Open Phone, it streamlines all that communication and scale your customer communications. It makes it so much easier, right? And the AI agent handles after-hour calls, answering common questions as well, and captures leads so I never miss a customer again. It's helped me and I think it can help you as well if you're in my position. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That is openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. It's not a bad deal, right? Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Eric Cain here, Locked On Vols. Corey Burton, Locked On Vandy. Of course, it's a long time before Tennessee and Vanderbilt play one another, but in-state rivalry, two pretty good football teams, a lot of excitement heading into the 2025 season. We thought we'd catch up here ahead of the year. All right, so Any Given Saturday, that Netflix documentary just aired a couple weeks ago. And Corey, Tennessee was featured, but Tennessee was obviously not one of those featured teams like Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Florida.
Yeah. LSU, a
little bit of Auburn, and I think there's some different reasons for that. But Vanderbilt got a ton of pub, right? And I think the world got to meet, on a personal level, Diego Pavia. And I mentioned this in segment one. It's like, he's everything I love about college football. Like, what a story. And the fact that he plays for Vanderbilt is phenomenal. I love it. But, I've had Tennessee fans text me and DM me and stuff. It's like, man, I kind of, always rooted for Diego last year, but now I'm just like, heck no, man. I hope he loses every game.
Yeah.
And I think that just adds to the fire of the rivalry and the kind of what his mantra is already. He's not worried about losing fans. He's the underdog, and that's what he's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. He carries that mentality, and that's what he kind of drove. And you saw it, between him and Clark Lee. And Clark Lee really, I'll get to Clark Lee in a minute, but Diego Pavia just driving this team and willing this team to do things that they didn't think possible. I know coming into last season, the FanDuel win total was 2.5 games. Not a lot of credit, not a lot of faith, not a lot of whatever in Vanderbilt, not a lot of confidence in Vanderbilt to do much. I think people were talking about this time last year where Clark Lee was going to be a defensive coordinator coming into this season. And obviously that's not true anymore, but it just happened, and you saw the fire, you saw how the guys got inspired, you saw why all this took place, behind the curtain, just how fired up these guys were, just how well prepared they were, and just how physical they were. They showed, sometimes it's hard to see just watching the broadcast copy, but when you see these documentary angles, you really get a feel for the hits and the physicality of some of these games. And that Auburn game, the Alabama game, and even the Tennessee game, even though Tennessee ended up winning, that just the physicality that Vanderbilt brought was something that they haven't had in quite some time. And that's a brand that Diego Pavia helped develop. Clark Lee's been trying to do that. And, Diego Pavia just drove that nail home. Jerry Kill drove that nail home, and it just ran rampant through the rest of the team. And they just total buy-in. It was great.
Kind of on that Pavia note, what I noticed from that dog too, and again, these guys go back. I don't know if they were roommates at New Mexico State or whatever.
I think they were.
Stowers keeps Pavia in check. He's like, man, you don't need to say that, man. What are you doing? You got kids looking. I thought that was hilarious. It's okay, do your own thing, but you always have to have that one guy, that teammate, maybe in my case, my wife or whatever, bring you back down to earth. And that's what Stowers is to Pavia. And I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that was really cool. Just to see their dynamic, because they're two totally different people, personality-wise. I mean, it is both ends of the spectrum. Eli Stowers is quiet, mild-mannered, just kind of there, and obviously performs extremely well. But you just don't really, he doesn't really get fired up about anything, good or bad. He's just kind of even-keeled, calm. And Diego Pavia is, he is Macho Man Randy Savage, right? He is WWE cutting promos left and right. I mean, he brings that to the team. And then Eli Stowers is obviously the antithesis, and to see those two interact was a treat. And Stowers calling him out, and you're like, whoa, this is the first time we've seen anyone check Diego Pavia at all, because Clark Lee's not doing it, because Clark Lee's hey, I want him to do this. I want our team to hear this. And he said in another interview, I think it was with Outkick. I don't know why he did Outkick, but he said, I'm tired of being disrespected, and I'm tired of people making jokes about Vanderbilt. I'm tired of it. And Diego Pavia's his avenue to express that, which I think is kind of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. And like, there's probably not anybody else on that roster. Like, if Clark Lee's not doing it, and like a lot of times it's not needed, right? But there's probably nobody else in that roster that can check him like that. But because they go back and they're best friends and their history and roommates, like Stowers is the perfect guy to kind of.
And he produces too. Like, and he can. It's not like the third string tight end is going to come in and say, "Hey, Diego, check yourself."
Yeah, you got to back it up for sure. There was another quote in there, and again, I had no issue with Pavia saying, we're going to beat whatever that quote was about Tennessee. I can't remember, but I have no issue with that. I mean, that's right. I have no issue with that. Yeah, I have no issue with Clark Lee saying I want to beat Tennessee's at or whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but I have no issue with that. The one that gave me pause from Clark Lee, and he even acknowledged, he was like, I know how this sounds. He's like, I was brought in here to be the savior of this program. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. Whoa.
You're like, hold on, pump the brakes. Yeah.
Let's pump the brakes. And he even said, I know how that sounds. But I'm like, whoa. Like, I think he's done a fantastic job. But when I heard that, I'm like, okay, all right. Let's settle down here.
Yeah, I heard that and I was like, okay, we're getting a little over our skis here. And I think he realized that too, obviously. But I think he's just, I think he's obviously excited that things worked out, because he was, I called it the overhaul. And it worked, and he's really excited about it. I guess he's having a little fun with it, and I'm the savior. He's got a little Diego Pavia in him now. I guess he's got I guess that had to go. All that energy had to go somewhere, and so Clark Lee, I guess, is buying into it too.
So with Vanderbilt, his first year, I guess it was 2021, right? Lee's first year. Yeah, he beat Florida and Kentucky in back-to-back weeks.
No. His first year, he lost to East Tennessee State at home, and I think they went to it. They were abysmal.
So
I think they
lost
second
year.
Yeah, they beat UConn, who I think had won one game the year before. Or no, they won one game that year. They beat them by like a point and celebrated like it was a Super Bowl. And then year two.
That's right, because whenever they beat Florida and Kentucky back-to-back, and then Tennessee just got drilled by South Carolina, so it was kind of like.
Yeah, that was year two.
Yeah.
They barely missed the bowl game that year. And then year three was another 2-10 stinker. He relinquished play calling duties defensively, hired the wrong offensive coordinator, I guess, and just kind of the wheels fell off and people transferred like a mass exodus. And then year four was the overhaul, and now we're coming into year five. So
wins over Alabama, obviously last year.
Yep.
Couple big time wins, beating
two
Auburn.
Huge road wins, Kentucky and Auburn.
Yeah,
those. To do that in Jordan Air Stadium was ridiculous. Like people, Vandy especially, but not a lot of people go in there and win historically. I know Auburn's kind of down right now, but not a lot of people go in there historically and have sustained success. So to get that win on the road, I think is pretty remarkable.
Never going to call it easy, because you play in the Southeastern Conference, nothing's easy. You got Georgia and Alabama and Florida on your schedule, nothing's easy. But Tennessee's schedule, favorable, okay?
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's not, man. Week 3,
it's brutal.
At South Carolina,
after a road game at Virginia Tech, mind you.
October 4th at Alabama, you got LSU at home. You're at Texas. You got Auburn at home, Kentucky, and then, of course, at Tennessee to end the regular season. What's that game that Vanderbilt and Lee is going to get this year that is going to be that signature win on the schedule?
Well, the last time I did one of these crossovers, I kind of predicted that signature win, and that was the streak breaker against South Carolina. Like that's the one I kind of pointed at as, hey, South Carolina, you're transitioning some things. You're trying to get used to some new pieces. Like there's a new guy calling the plays this year. He's been on staff, but he's still. This is the first time he's really kind of been at the helm calling plays for Lenore Sellers. So all that stuff combined, I said, okay, it's going to be a great game between two great quarterbacks, but I think Vanderbilt's they're going to kick a field goal late to push that one and snap that streak. Cause like you're due, like that streak, it has to end at some point, and it's going to end, and streaks like that usually end in ways that you would never imagine. Like, a home loss at Williams-Brice for South Carolina. Like that kind of thing is kind of how you break that streak.
Or Tennessee beating Alabama, 5 touchdowns for Jalen Hyatt. Like it's something,
just something
supernatural-esque, right?
Yeah.
All right, to end the show, and again, a long way to go. 2 teams that could look completely different by the time November the 29th rolls around. Don't get in depth or anything. I'm just
Right.
going to say yes or no. Will Vanderbilt upset? I would assume Tennessee's going to be the favorite at home.
Yeah.
Will Vanderbilt upset Tennessee at home this year? My answer is no. But here on August the 19th, Corey, yes or no? Will Vanderbilt upset Tennessee?
As far as August 19th goes, yes, because I think the quarterback situation as it stands at this moment is I just don't know enough about Joey Aguilar. I don't know that he's consistent enough
That's fair.
to win in this league. And I think he's prone to turnovers, and that could be Vanderbilt's ticket at this moment.
It certainly could be. We'll know a lot more about Joey Aguilar. We'll know a lot more about Tennessee and Vanderbilt as the season goes on.
Oh, yeah.
November the 29th, right after Thanksgiving holiday. As always, Tennessee and Vanderbilt should be a fun season coming up. Check out Locked On Vols. Make it your number one listen if you're a Tennessee fan. Locked On Vanderbilt with Corey Burton. Make that your number one listen if you're a Vandy fan. Of course, Locked On SEC with Chris Gordy. Fun season coming up. Corey, can't wait, man.
Yeah, and as you're sitting up, and then fast forward to Thanksgiving, if you're slinging hot takes over turkey and dressing, you think of Eric's hot takes and my hot takes, and we'll put them together and figure out some sort of conclusion to this game. But it's going to be a fun ride, man. This is going to be a fun season, a pivotal season for Vanderbilt as far as a lot of things are concerned. But I think it's going to be something that they're going to prove that they belong. I've been saying that all last week, but they're going to prove that they belong. And I think this would be you win a game at Neyland. That's good proving ground.
Yeah, no doubt. And on Tennessee's side, I mean, yeah, Tennessee has had a couple of really good seasons under Josh Heupel, but how are you going to respond? Again, the Pierce is gone, the Sampson's gone, Nico leaves high and dry at the end of spring practice. Like, how are you going to respond, and what is Heupel made of? I think there's abundant storylines galore for Tennessee and, of course, Vanderbilt as well. No place to be up to date with it all than right here, Locked On Vols and Locked On Vanderbilt. This has been a Locked On crossover edition with Corey Burton and Eric Cain. Thank you guys so much, and check out Locked On SEC for your second listen here today.
Peace out.